Hello and welcome to the Socially Ambitious Podcast. I'm your co-host Liv.
I'm your co-host Jess.
And I'm your co-host Anna.
On this show, we'll be delving into all things social media, delegation, and influencer marketing.
Join us for insightful conversations on mastering work-life balance, pursuing your passions, and crafting the life you've always dreamed of.
Get ready for actionable tips and empowering discussions.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of Socially Ambitious. I am your co-host, but your solo host today, Liv, and I'm going to be doing a solo episode. We took a little break for April, and we're fully blaming the wedding on that. For those who don't know, I had my wedding 2 weeks ago. It was all-consuming, and if you've been following along for the past year or so, you've heard all about it. Finally, it happened. It was amazing. Best week and weekend ever. Actually, the whole Socially Ambitious team was there too, which was so fun and so cool. We had Michaela and Anna and Kennedy, our podcast manager. We were all in North Carolina, just turning up together, and it was such a fun time. But if you've been wondering where we've been doing that. You know, the travel took a lot out of us, but we're back on track. It's May. I'm here with a fire solo episode that I think you guys are really going to enjoy, and kind of leading up to our next offering that we're really excited about, which, if you don't know, offering is just another word for like a course or a digital product. But the next one that we're currently working on, it's almost live. We don't really have a launch date for it because we're kind of just waiting until we put the finishing touches on it. And if you know us, you know how thorough we are. So our courses go through extreme amounts of reworking and revisions until we feel like it's absolutely 200% perfect. But the next one is delegation, and it's really, really exciting because in the past year of launching the Influencers Assistant course, we've had so much good feedback from people who are taking the course who want to be assistants. And then we've had a lot of mostly questions from influencers who want to hire an assistant, but just have a lot of questions. Either it's their first hire, or, you know, they have had one in the past and now they're getting a new one through us. But we've just dealt with a lot of interest and curiosity, I suppose, about what the best way to go about hiring someone, and just like, you know, questions that someone might have when they're hiring someone for the first time. So I'm super, super excited to share that with you guys whenever it is ready. Again, don't have a launch date yet, putting the final touches on it, but I'm so excited because it's going to be such a good resource for someone who has never hired before, or they have and they've struggled with it in the past. But yeah, so today's episode, all that being said, I'm going to get into my assistants and what they do for me and how much I pay them. So let's get right into it. First, I want to start by saying that I got my first assistant, I want to say in 2019 or 2020. I don't remember when exactly, but it's been a few years. So I definitely feel like I have learned so much in the past few years about having assistants and kind of what that dynamic can be and what to outsource to them and what to not outsource to them. So I feel like this is going to be really helpful for you guys if you're wondering, like, okay, I know I need help, but I don't know how and I don't know who to hire. Obviously, we focus mainly on influencers assistants, and our course certifies people to do that. And, you know, that teaches kind of a wide skill set of knowledge in the industry, but there's also some things that you might just need a dedicated separate assistant for, and you'll see more of what I'm talking about once we get into it. But also, I want to preface this with the term assistant. It's kind of interesting because, like, I would say the first few people that I hired to help me with stuff, I would consider more assistants. And like my influencer's assistant, I would consider her my assistant. But then there's some on this list of assistants that are really just like freelancers. So it kind of goes hand in hand, because when you call someone an assistant, it's almost like they're your employee, you're their boss. But if they're a freelancer and they're doing their services for multiple people, you are a client to them. So it's kind of like the same really dynamic, but a different framework, I guess. But it really is just the same thing. Like all of my assistants are pretty much just freelancers. They do what they do for me for other people. And sometimes they even start their own business where they're like managing influencers, or they're taking clients on as a YouTube editor or whatever it is. So when I say assistant, it's like, these are just freelancers, independent contractors, and that kind of makes more sense instead of, I feel like when people hear me say, oh, I have four assistants, they're like, whoa. They think it's like this crazy thing. I have like four full-time people just on payroll, and it's like not like that at all. So yeah, I feel like there's sometimes can be confusion there. Um, at one point, I did have up to like a year or two ago, well, even when we launched the course, I had up to like nine quote unquote assistants, but really just like nine people that I work with or I pay to do certain things for me. Since then, I have scaled back a little bit. One, because I was able to rework some things where, like, instead of having two assistants for a task, I was able to just go with one of them. Like, I was like, hey, could you actually just do this? And they were like, yeah, I can take that on. So then it lowered it down to one person. Not that it necessarily saved any money, but it's kind of nice just working with less people who are getting more done, if that makes sense. Okay, so let's get into it. My first and main assistant, who I am the most that I work the closest with, is Michaela. She is my certified influencers assistant, and she's also the chief operating officer. She's the COO of Socially Ambitious. Um, and she kind of just started, she took the course, one. She went through the course, she got certified, and then Jess and I hired her as our influencer's assistant. And then once she was killing it there, we then hired her for Socially Ambitious. So she wears those three hats. I mean, personally, she's also like in grad school and a yoga teacher and just like amazing and juggles so much. But her main source of income is from Socially Ambitious and being me and Jess's influencer's assistant. What she does for us is pretty much everything we teach in the course, mostly inbox management, and handling our brand partnerships. That is probably the biggest, of course, out of all, everything is really important. But when I'm looking at this list of things, like that is the the moneymaker, that is our income, that is our bread and butter. So to have her handling all of my brand partnerships is really important and really so helpful. So she does inbox management, brand partnerships, which is pretty much she is the liaison between me and the brands that I'm working with. So she's doing my brand outreach, which is, pitching to all these different companies that either I sent to her because I wanted to work with them, or maybe they reached out to me. So she kind of, handles all the incoming and outcoming inquiries in my inbox. And then she'll, run them by me through our Trello system, which if you're a graduate, if you know, we have a whole system laid out. It's super effective. It is really beneficial for the influencer to sit down, look at what's kind of in the funnel of brand deals in all the different stages, give the assistant like your answer in 2 seconds and then done. So like my version of handling my inbox is going to my Trello list, giving her the answers that she needs. For example, this brand wants this deliverable. Are you okay with this rate? Do we want to negotiate higher? Do we want to negotiate terms? Things like that. And I just give her the answer, and she's the one to reply to all the brands. So that takes up so much off my plate that it's so helpful and probably the most important of all of my assistants. Occasionally she will handle like life things for me if she has the bandwidth and I just need help. For example, like I'm really bad at paying parking tickets, like remembering to pay parking tickets. So she knows that like if I get one, I send her a picture, she handles it. I'm trying to think what else, like random stuff, like I needed to replace my car registration and I like could not figure it out, or I like didn't have the patience to figure it out. And she was like, I got you, let's get this done. She handled that. She also helped honestly a lot with my wedding stuff because I partnered with so many of my wedding vendors, and that was kind of like a long, tedious process as well because I pitched to them like a partnership pretty much to all my vendors. And she definitely helped me with that and just like moving things along for my wedding, looking through contracts, making sure I was signing deposits. So she helps with not only like my influencer stuff, but also just like my personal life stuff whenever she can and whenever I need it. So that's pretty much what she does there. That is so super helpful. She works 10 hours a week and I pay her $30 an hour. So I think we had originally started at 25, and then I think after 6 months I raised it to 30 an hour because she is just so good at what she does. And to me, it is just that's invaluable, especially when someone is like, handling the most important part of your business. You want them to feel like, they're getting compensated fairly and that they're appreciated and valued. So that's Michaela. Love her. Love her. My second assistant that I have right now is my content creation assistant. Her name is Hillary, and her work kind of fluctuates at the like largest scale of things. She was sending me trend lists, like TikTok trend lists every week. And that's also kind of the beauty of it is that a lot of these positions they almost start as one thing, and then as you move along and adapt and kind of change your social strategies, and they get to know your workflow better, you kind of just adapt together. So we started and she was doing all my TikTok trend lists. Every Monday she would send a PDF doc, and we also teach this in the course how to make this. She would send the PDF doc with like hyperlinks to what's currently trending that week on TikTok. So that when I went to film TikToks, I didn't have to sit there and scroll and look through trends or, try to think about things to talk about. She literally is doing all that brain power for me, and she's giving me topics that are trending, um, you know, voiceover sounds that are trending that I can do something to. She'll even put like what I should put as on-screen text, an idea, and I don't necessarily always use it or I don't use it verbatim, but it's good to just be like a thought starter and kind of help me get my creative juices flowing. So she was sending those for a while. Since my strategy on TikTok has changed, that's kind of changed as well. Like now I'm focusing on more talking, storytelling, long form content versus just doing like the voiceover trends. So we've cut back on that. But what I did start testing this year with her, and it's fun because you get to test different things too. And, like she gets so excited when she sees things doing well that we're testing, and we'll decide together, like, okay, yes, we should keep doing this. No, we shouldn't keep doing this. And it's so helpful too to just have another set of eyes, like speaking as an influencer or as a creator, have another set of eyes on your content and seeing like, I don't know, another brain to discuss and bounce ideas off of because it can get a little lonely. And like I have other influencer friends, of course, but they're also focused on their own personal brand and building that up. And, you just don't want to go to them every single time. So it is nice to have someone like that's their job. Their job is to help you with your content, see what's working, test new things, help you be creative. So that's been like really fun and such an enjoyable kind of relationship and dynamic. And she's also a podcast listener. She's a brother. Actually, how did we originally even meet Hillary? I think I actually met her through a mutual high school friend. We were hiring a content creator assistant, and we posted on our stories, and then our friend connected us. But I think either before that or during us hiring her, she started listening to the podcast, which loved that. Like she was a loyal listener. And then she also took the course. So she got the course, got certified, and yeah, now she's a student of Socially Ambitious, which is super cool too. And that's someone who was already working in the position and still like saw the value in the course and just found it super valuable. So we love that. So that's what she does. Okay, so now, sorry, we're going lots of ways here. Now that my TikTok strategy has changed a bit, she has been focusing on repurposing and this is what we started testing probably like 6 months ago too. We started testing her reposting my TikTok content onto Instagram as Reels. And a lot of times she will post it and then take it off my feed. So it's kind of just like hidden, but something that's like kind of churning the algorithm, and just keeping things live on Instagram. Like if I don't have a new reel to post because I didn't make any reels that week, I have like so much content on TikTok that can be repurposed. And we've been testing it and it's done really well. Like I'm on my like third viral video. Everything is blowing up. So pro tip, if you're not already doing that, do that. I was scared at first because I was like, I create such different content for Instagram, but it works. It works. I'm not gonna ask questions. It's been working. So that's what she's doing for me right now. And she has my logins to everything. And it's really great because I don't have to think about it. I just go on my profile. I see that she's repurposing the content, and it's nice because I can focus on like just creating that content on one platform, and knowing that at some point it will get repurposed to Instagram and it will do just as well, if not better. So that's been fun. I pay her $25 an hour. Her hours range a little bit more because her tasks they're a little bit more random than like Michaela's. So I would say she works anywhere like at the lowest 1 to 2 hours a week, if not 5 hours a week. Like at her maximum, she was probably working 5 hours a week, and I pay her $25. And it's funny with her in that position because that was one of the positions that I was like, it didn't exist until the idea popped into my head. Like I had been feeling, and this was I want to say 2 years ago, I had been feeling like I kind of just want someone to be sourcing TikTok trends for me. And I slept on it for a while because at first I was like telling myself, like, that's so silly. Like, you're not going to pay someone to like scroll TikTok. Like, that's silly. And then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, this would be helpful. Like, why am I gaslighting myself? This would actually be really helpful for me in my creative process. And then I hired her, and it was just the best thing ever. And now I like don't know why I ever didn't have someone in this position. So that is my content creation assistant. She slays. Hillary, love you. Next up is my YouTube assistant. Her name is Des, and she is someone who kind of has her own, like we talked about earlier, business where she provides a service and she has multiple clients. I found her. How did I find her? I want to say I found her on TikTok, or she was a podcast listener and I posted that I needed a YouTube assistant and she reached out. Don't remember which of those came first again, but she's awesome. She at first was actually my Pinterest manager slash assistant. So she was running my Pinterest for me. And then I asked her, like, hey, do you do any YouTube stuff? So then she started with my YouTube channel, just making the thumbnails and doing the descriptions. And I had a separate YouTube editor for probably like a year. It was like some random guy on Fiverr. And then as of like actually just February, I switched over to her editing my YouTube videos. And I asked her, I was like, hey, would you mind actually editing my videos too? And she was like, no, that sounds great. Like, I'd love to take it on. And I honestly oh my God, I have a funny story for you guys. I don't know why I had this intuition of like, I kind of just want a female editing my videos. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sending a lot of footage, a lot of B-roll. At the time, I was doing mostly vlogs. Like, I'm still just doing mostly vlogs on YouTube. And I was like, I don't know. I just would feel better with a woman editing my footage and like having all my footage. So I switched over to her actually right before my bachelorette vlog, my Cabo trip. And I like literally that was the first video she edited for me. And thank God. Because in that video, I don't think I haven't shared this actually at all. This is so funny. In that video, it went live, and then one of my bridesmaids who was on the trip, she calls me and she's like, hey, my entire private part is out in your YouTube video. And I'm like, bestie, what do you mean? And basically, like Spark Note version, moral of the story, she just wasn't wearing bottoms for one of the days, and we were playing a game and whatever. Long story short, her private part was out. And this video was live on my YouTube channel for like a good day. And so we deleted it, obviously edited it out, re-uploaded it. But like, how crazy, you guys, how crazy is it that that's the first video from when I switched over to the new editor? And like, thank God, because there was an R-rated shot in my footage. I knew. How did I know? I don't know. I just fucking knew. So anyways, my YouTube editor, and assistant, Des, she's amazing. She edits all my videos. And then what she's doing for me right now is she's making reel, like a reel version, which is just a vertical, kind of like a teaser of the vlog. And she'll send me that too. And that's for me to post either on TikTok or on Instagram to kind of just promote my YouTube channel. And then she also still does the thumbnails, the title, the descriptions. And yeah, that's super helpful because YouTube is like a whole other beast. It's a long game. I feel like that's probably the channel I nurture the least. I'm trying to get better about it, but it also is so helpful because if I were to try to edit it, it would just take like hours and hours and hours, and I probably just wouldn't upload, honestly, if we're being honest. So that's kind of what helps too, is like if you know you're not going to do something and you have better odds of being consistent by hiring someone to do it for you. And it's also like it makes you want to try harder because you're investing in it, you know? So it's like you don't want to just neglect it. You want it to be worth whatever you're paying your assistant or, whatever it is. But that's been super helpful. I absolutely love that I have her as my editor and she slays. Like she gets it. Okay, last but not least, I think this is it. I hope I'm not missing anyone, but last but not least, I have a Poshmark slash Depop assistant. We recently switched over selling platforms. It was Poshmark, now it's Depop, and that's Mackenzie. She is also, oh my God, she is also a socially ambitious graduate. This is so funny. But yeah, she actually was a follower for years and we always just like talked in DMs. And then another fun fact, before she even worked for us and I say us as in me and Jess, because up until like she moved, we pretty much shared all of our assistants. But before she even started working for us, I went to Costa Rica with this guy who owned a house, and a part of the partnership was like that we could do a giveaway for my followers, and one of my followers could win a trip to the house. She actually won the trip. And again, this is before we worked together. So her and her boyfriend went to the house and, she was like so grateful, so excited. They actually ended up, and then we started working together later down the line. And then recently she went back to that house and had her wedding there, like had her little cute Costa Rican wedding there. And it was so sweet. And it just kind of felt like a full circle moment. But she's awesome. Again, a graduate of the course, so she gets it. She handles all of my clothing listings, I guess, on Depop. So every few months, she'll come to my house, she'll pick up bags of clothing, and she handles listing everything, sending everything out, negotiating offers and whatnot. So yeah, that kind of wraps up where we're at right now. This could always change. It does usually change. Things are flexible. At one point, when I did have like 9 assistants, I had another freelancer running my like to know it, and she was making graphics for me. Like, and that was awesome. Honestly, I should probably look into working with her again. It's hard because I wasn't seeing a return on investment. And that's just one of those things where even for YouTube, it's not really a return on investment because I'm not monetizing my channel yet. But some things are just like that, And it's like you have to pick and choose kind of what you want to invest in. Because again, YouTube, like to know it, those are things that are like a long-term strategy and just take a long time to grow. But once you do grow, it's worth it. So yeah, at one point she was running my like to know it, making graphics, posting. At another point I had Des doing my Pinterest, managing my Pinterest and like running things to try to get traffic from there onto my other channels. But yeah, now I've got it down to these four. It feels really good. It feels really manageable. Oh, I don't know if I told you guys what I pay the other ones. Okay, YouTube assistant, I pay $25 an hour. She works maybe 3 to 4 hours, depending if I have a video that week. Like if I'm consistent, she'll work that much. But then there's been some weeks, especially with the wedding stuff, where I have not been consistent and there hasn't been a video for her to edit. So that fluctuates. And then my Poshmark or Depop assistant, I pay $20 an hour. And that's more just like on a quarterly basis because it's so spread out and she's really good about tracking her time that she works on stuff. But for just to give you guys like a range, I pay her $20 an hour and then she just invoiced me for quarter 1, which is January through January through April, and it was 17 hours. So it came out to about $400. But for me, I make more money from selling my clothes, so it's worth it. So yeah, that is pretty much it. I know that was a lot of information, but I feel like if I were in a position where I was looking to hire soon or thinking about it, which I know a lot of people who listen are, and a lot of friends who DM me, they're like, "Hey, I'm thinking about it." I haven't pulled the trigger yet. I hope this is helpful. Again, it's such a learning curve when you first hire, like figuring out the nuances and kind of like the dynamic of things, what you should pay them, how you should do taxes and stuff, which I'm not a CPA, so talk to an accountant. But that's another thing. I also have an accountant. I wouldn't consider him an assistant, but he's a freelancer. Like I hire him to do my taxes. But that's kind of how I see all my assistants. It's just like, you know, they're doing their thing for multiple people. And I'm just so grateful for all this help because it's really like if you're looking to scale or if you're at a point where you're starting to value your time more than money, I highly, highly, highly suggest hiring help. It's been a complete game changer for my career, my mental health. There was one point where, I had so much more on my plate than I do now with when we had Mood the agency, which is our marketing agency. We were launching Socially Ambitious. We had the Whiskey and Water podcast. And there was just so much happening at once and so many moving parts that, having that help is so extremely necessary, especially to scale. And especially, like I said, for your mental health. And of course, that's up to everyone's own like personal preference where they're at. But if you feel like you're on the verge of burnout or you just want a better work-life balance and you feel like your to-do list just is never getting to-doed, I would 100% recommend thinking about hiring help, and you can always start small. That's another thing I think people assume you have to, when you hire an assistant, it has to be like either a full part-time role or a full-time role, and it doesn't. You can start with 2 hours a week with someone and then start there and scale it up, and a lot of times assistants who are looking for work are fine with that, especially if they see an opportunity for growth with you and you see the same for them. Like, for example, Michaela, she started as our assistant. Now she's in Socially Ambitious and like so many other, like the first, when we have other jobs that we need to be filled, the first people we ask are the people who already work with us. So, especially if you're like, thinking about starting a company or you want to start a podcast or any other sort of project, you got to hire help. You got to start delegating. And I hope our next course is so helpful for anyone who's looking to take that next step and feel more confident in it. Because it definitely is a lot to learn. But I will stop here. I hope you guys enjoyed this solo episode. Let me know if you guys want more. We are back on track this month. We have episodes planned for every Monday, so you have that to look forward to. And if you have any questions, maybe we can do like a Q&A. We can do a part 2. But again, I'm so, so excited for this new offering. I think you guys are going to absolutely love it. And I will see you next week or next time. Bye.